Max, thanks very much for taking us through the graphical planning solution. I think we'll move on next to, did you want to talk about what we've been doing in the rental space and
Sure.
helping our customers deal with servitization?
Yeah, rental is of course also a place where we support the manufacturing industry. We see the trend of, as you said correctly, servitization, but also growing into new business models. So going away from only selling your product, but also renting and maybe even leasing a product as well towards the customer. So especially heavy and cost expensive goods where you can share the costs alongside multiple customers or over a certain period of time. As well as with trends like sustainability and circular economy, rental gets more and more important. And yeah, within the Microsoft ecosystem, we are known for our rental application. So a lot of rental companies also come to us and use our rental products because the standard of Dynamics 365 ERP is built for selling products, but the difference if you rent a product is of course that it returns. And that's a huge gap in the standard, which you basically can't support because the application is built for selling and not for renting. What we do with rental is we actually have a complete product portfolio. So the application is within ERP, but it's also components within CRM as well as Power BI that you can get delivered with our application. Here, for example, you see a dashboard that gives you insights on how much revenue are you actually achieving with your rental department, how many days on rent your equipment basically is. I've been mentioning before in multiple sessions that we, for example, have Bredenoord in the Netherlands as a customer. They are a producer of power generators, but they also focus their business model now on renting the equipment. And yeah, this dashboard is meant to give them insights in how do they achieve that, as well as we have also financial insights like these rental object balances that shows me what has been my total cost of rental. Am I making a loss? Am I making a profit around that? What is the cross margin that I maybe achieve? As well as, yeah, we have fleet management capabilities. Here you can see my fleet of cranes, which I can also scale down. For example, show me only the ones that have a certain hosting capacity where I can plan human resources as well. So within the rental space, we also have a planning board for availability checks and capabilities. And also we see that the rental industry itself is changing as well. So not only you ask your customer for a typical rental rate, think of daily, weekly, or monthly, but it's coming more and more to an approach where you actually charge the customer per consumption. And that also is really interesting for manufacturers because they want to, of course, offer the product as a service. So you can use that tool actually to usage-driven billing, where you can, for example, set for a certain time frame, different kind of prices, where you can use IoT data to feed that into the business application. What we, for example, have here is such a rental contract, and I can plan actually the usage based on the operating hours and charge a certain price for that. Not only next to my typical daily rate, I can also ask a price for the consumption. And that's what we see a lot of customers do, as well as Bredenoord does the same. Power generators, they charge their customers power by the hour. And that's how we can, for example, get via IoT data these operating hours in there with a certain kind of quantity and then put a sales or a rental price next to it. So it allows you to really charge the customer based on the consumption he had with the product and set up subscription models as well.
It's a very thorough solution, I know from my own investigations into the way that the pricing model is structured. One question that jumps into my mind, of course, is that, as we know, we've got a lot of our manufacturing customers who are making equipment, as you just said, like Bredenoord. That equipment is going out to customer sites. It tends to sit in customer sites. It's a long-term relationship that we build. They might be using that machinery for several years. So there's a maintenance component to this as well, isn't there, that we're able to help them with. And I don't think we've got anything to actually show them, but could you just talk a little bit about how we handle that side of things as well for our customers?
Sure, and it's actually not only maintenance, but it's also field services, as you just said yourself. The equipment might be on a long term, and that's also the goal that you want to have. You want to bind your customer on a long-term perspective towards you. And we have field service components. So there's a mobile application within the rental tool that allows you to schedule technicians against that as well, and allows them on sites to execute the service on a mobile app, as well as get the equipment also back via that mobile application and sign off that you have taken it again from customer side and put it into your depot, as well as preventive maintenance scenarios where you say, I have to visit the customer 2 times a year, so the power generator stays in a good and conditioned state. And I always say rental is actually the perfect world where the both worlds of field service and maintenance come together, because you got to maintain your own fleet. It's your equipment. You're the owner financially as well as physically, and therefore maintain your fleet. But if it's long-term away, you of course also want to maintain it on a field service perspective, or sometimes breakdowns happen, especially in the construction rental. We see that a lot. Equipment is used heavily in rough conditions as well, so we see a lot of breakdowns, and then you want to have actually a technician workforce and sell additional services that you also take care about these worries of your customers.
And is there any limitations in terms of the types of customers that we're dealing with? I mean, we've talked about heavy engineering. We talked about the manufacturing of power supplies, medical device companies where things are being rented out. Is that has application here? Is there anything that you can think of that it wouldn't work for?
Yeah, what we typically see is that this is meant for business to business as well as larger and heavy equipment. That's where we have a really, really good fit. So think of construction rental, cranes, excavators, diggers, forklifts. Yeah, these are the companies that we focus on. We also have a lot of customers in medical that are using that. So complex manufacturing and high-tech engineering, that's what I would say. What we also recently experienced is that we get a lot of good feedback on fleet management, actually. So don't think about only own rentals, but also maybe maintaining your own fleet, because you have certain kind of cars, vehicles alongside that, or you're in the construction and then you want to rent that out. So the tool is really, really flexible, but more for a B2B perspective than a B2C.
Okay, thank you, Max, for showing us and talking about the rental solution.